Okay, hello everyone. We're starting our second workshop from Dyson Finance, DeFi dual investment as a source of yield for debts. Welcome, give a round of applause to Chen Peng.
Hi. It is said that I have some leisure time to introduce more regarding Dyson Finance, but I think I'll still finish the whole sharing within half an hour. But probably we can have some time left if any of you would like to ask more questions. Yeah. So let me get started from giving a technical introduction of how Dyson Finance is built, and to give you some understanding of the internal mechanism of the smart contract. So I believe it would help you to finish your integration. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I'll share the link in the Discord channel afterward. Yeah. Okay, so regarding Dyson Finance, there are some theses instead of maximizing trading volume, we want to maximize fee income instead. And it is said that most of the DEXs are competing with each other on the spectrum of having more TVL or having more trading volume. They want to maximize their market cap. But that isn't necessarily beneficial for liquidity providers. For example, we can see some DEX triggering their LPs to lower fee tier, for example, Uniswap or say Curve. And also we can even see some DEX lower their fee to 0 just to win some trading volume. But that just don't make sense for liquidity providers. Yeah. And we want to do exactly the opposite. So we might not be the DEX that have the most volume, but the percentage of ROI should be higher than the others. Yeah. And the second concept here is dynamic fee. Yeah. And if you are familiar with DEX, especially DEX within these 1 or 2 years, you might notice that most of them claim to have a dynamic fee mechanism, which is more, say, adaptive to market dynamics. They try to charge higher fee when the market is more volatile and vice versa. Yeah. And usually they would rely on a volatility oracle or maybe some centralized set of, say, admins. But instead, we have a different mechanism that directly use volume, the ratio of volume and TVL as an indicator of how's the demand of liquidity in this market. Yeah. And we believe this is more robust and could be harder to attack. Yeah. And the third one is the fundamental of Dyson Finance. There's no LP, those who deposit 2 tokens to mint an LP position, but instead all of the liquidity provider in Dyson Finance are in fact selling options. Yeah. And it makes sense because the measurement of liquidity is usually time-based. When it comes to liquidity, we care about slippage, but also efficiency. How fast can you liquidate your position? Yeah, so time is always a constraint. Yeah, and that's why we want to make the liquidity provision from our users in Dyson Finance more like an option like liquidity. Yeah, because you know how exactly amount and duration you would like to provide liquidity, and you get a fixed profit upfront. So let's start from the fundamentals. So Dyson Finance itself still have a, say, XYK mechanism, and also it has its own, say, underlying liquidity pool. So at this moment, there's no external liquidity providers, so all of the asset in the pool is owned by the protocol. For example, let's say if the price of ETH is $200, then with $1 million worth of liquidity, there's like 500K of USDC and 250 ETH. And the first thing you can do with this kind of pool is to perform swaps. Yeah, quite straightforward. Yeah. So let's say if you sell 1 ETH to the protocol, then likely you will get 1992 USDC. Yeah, just the basic SYK formula. Yeah. But when it comes to dual investment, we will perceive it as a swap. So when you do dual investment in Dyson Finance, it is in fact doing a swap, but with some different conditions. So first, instead of directly giving back you the USDC that belongs to you, it will be kept in the protocol. Yeah. And you will get a note, an IOU, that said, oh, the protocol owe you 1992 USDC. But there's one extra condition, which is the protocol retains the right to undo the whole swap. So, like let's say if the note will take place for 3 days, then supposedly 3 days later you should get your 1992 USDC. But the protocol can decide to not pay you those USDC, but instead return those ETH get deposited into a pool initially. Yeah. So this is how Dyson Finance try to construct the concept of option on top of XYK liquidity pool. And if it's the user that's solely selling option to the protocol, then there won't be incentives and it does not make sense. Because when the price of ETH goes up, then you will get USDC. But when the price of ETH goes down, then the protocol will simply cancel the swap. So what let this make sense is the protocol will provide an extra yield on top of that node. So for the previous example, we said you will either get 1 ETH or 1992 USDC, but with a 5% premium for a week, 7 days later, you are likely to get 1.05 ETH or 2091 USDC. So both sides seems to be more profitable than the initial investment, which is $2,000 worth. Yeah. So regardless getting ETH or USDC at the end, you should think it is a profitable trade for you. Unless the price of ETH moves by a lot. Yeah. So let's say you invest 1 ETH and eventually you get 1.05 ETH, then it will be profitable for you if it's denoted in ETH. But say if your ETH get converted into 2091 USDC, and unfortunately the price of ETH spikes up to say $3,000, then in theory you should be supposed to get 3K net worth, but now you only have 2091. So you are in fact getting some kind of loss. Not an actual loss, but like a potential loss. Yeah. So that's how this start to make sense for the user. Like they are in fact shorting volatility to get a premium from the protocol. And then comes the next part, which is dynamic fee. So the very first feature of Dyson's dynamic fee is that it is double-sided, which means at a specific time frame, the fee of buy side and sell side could be different. Yeah. And it should start from 0, and it will get the fee will get applied, or say will increase whenever a swap happens, but the fee will be applied on the opposite side of the swap. So let's say if I sell ETH to the protocol, so the reserve of ETH will increase and the reserve of USDC will decrease, then the fee is applied on the USDC side, which means whomever want to make an opposite swap will get charged, but not the one that make a same side swap. Yeah. And this makes sense because we have a hypothesis here that we are not able to prevent fund running, but we can mitigate the loss from back runs, which means we ourselves already noticed that there's a swap that affect the balance of the pool, and we knew that which direction should be profitable for back runners. So we can make the fee directional, and we can charge those back runners and try to cap some, say, arbitrage profit or say MEV value inside the protocol, rather than getting exposed to the outside world. Yeah. So we believe that when there's a swap and an opposite swap occurs in a very short time, then it is more likely to be an arbitrage. So we want to charge them a higher fee so that the protocol can effectively do revenue sharing with those arbitragers. So give an example, say there's the same pool as before, total 1 million worth of liquidity. And both sides of fees start from 0. And say there's a user that performs a swap that's selling it to a protocol. Then we notice that the reserve of USDC get decreased by 0.4%. So at the same time, we apply a fee to those who want to swap USDC to ETH, a 0.4% fee. So once there's another traders that try to use 1,000 USDC to buy cheap ETH, he'll get charged a 0.4% fee, which makes the overall outcome 0.501. Yeah. And by doing so, we can see the product of the pool growing. So this is how Dyson Finance capture profit from this kind of background arbitragers. Yeah. So that's pretty much it regarding the technical side of Dyson Finance. And we still have some time, so I would like to give a quick introduction of how the other part of Dyson Finance is designed. And excuse me. Okay. So the first part, as mentioned, is your investment. So whenever you try to do an invest or say to provide liquidity in Dyson Finance, you will always face a situation that you will feel yourself performing a swap, but you won't get the outcome immediately, but instead you get a note that could be redeemed a certain time later. And you will see both sides get a markup premium, and that premium is also, that premium also varies. Yeah? So you need to make sure both the exchange rate and also the premium is in your favor. Yeah? And that is a point that when you try to implement stuff, in the hackathon, you need to be aware of both the price slippage and also the yield is acceptable for the users. Yeah. And overall, I'll say usually the slippage should be covered by premium, but it does not make huge difference that you are in fact selling an option that link on an unfavorable price. Yeah. So that is one thing that you need to exercise extra caution. Yeah. And also I would like to share how we implement the dynamic fee mechanism. So as I mentioned, whenever there's a swap, fee is applied on the opposite side. Yeah. And by doing so, we can see a very interesting phenomenon, which if in this given example, let's say if the price of say ETH get pumped 2x in Uniswap, then it won't be surprised that it will attract a lot of, say, MEV bot and arbitrageurs try to make some decent profit. But in this given scenario, the liquidity provider of Uniswap still make a fixed 0.3% fee times volume. But in Dyson Finance, the situation could be very different, which is when there's also a sudden swap that pump the price of ETH 2x, but the price of ETH in the outside world does not change, then we probably will also attract arbitrageurs. But as I mentioned, if the price of ETH get pumped 2x, which means the reserve of ETH decrease by a lot. So there will be a very high percentage of fee for those who want to sell ETH to the protocol and make the effective sale price remain low. Yeah. And when a dynamic fee is applied, it will get decreased over time. Like there will be a mechanism that decay the fee exponentially over time. Yeah. So the whole process could be considered as a Dutch auction that try to distribute the potential arbitrage opportunity between arbitrageurs and also the protocol. Or maybe to be more specific, to split the profit among the protocol, the arbitrageurs, and also the block builders. Yeah. So by doing so, we can see some interesting trade, such as we no longer need to be worried about, say, sandwich attack, because sandwich attack makes sense only if bots can easily manipulate the spot price in the protocol. And that's still true, because we do not have a mechanism that prevent people from front running a swap. But a successful sandwich attack contains a front run transaction and also a background transaction. So front running will remain success. So the user will probably still get wrecked if that happens. But when the arbitrageurs try to sell back to make profit, he will find it difficult, because at that moment the fee is very high and very likely to absorb all of the potential profit that could make by performing a sandwich attack. Yeah. So that's an interesting dynamic that we do not directly protect our users or say uninformed traders, but instead we try to punish arbitrageurs, punish those sandwich attackers by preventing from making profit from backgrounding. Yeah. So that's not sufficient, but it's also an effective way to mitigate the potential loss of of the traders on our platform. Yeah. And one last part I would like to mention is is this, how we perceive Dyson Finance ourselves. If you have ever used CeFi platforms such as Binance, you probably will know there's a structured product called dual investment, exactly the same as us. And that is a product that invite users to, say, stake some assets and choose a specific strike price, and they will get premium. And the premium will be higher if the strike selected is closer to the spot price. Yeah. And that is exactly the same concept as doing option trading. When you're trading and when you are selling an option that is at the money, you will get the highest potential premium. Yeah. But it's easily to find out that if you directly go to Deribit, a crypto options CeFi platform, you can see the exact quote of users buying or selling specific option position. And you can easily compare like doing dual investment on Binance and selling an option on Deribit with exactly the same strike and the same expiry. And you'll find out Binance usually give you like a 40% haircut. Like they make profit by inviting their user to do dual investment and then directly goes to Deribit to hedge and capture the difference of premium. Yeah. And in Dyson Finance, the situation is not that different, but since we do not rely on, say, liquidity providers or brokers, so if there's like a haircut on the premium, it will all flows to the protocol, either to the liquidity pool or to like the treasury of Dyson Finance. And that could be considered as a source of revenue stream, and it could then use to back the governance token's value. Yeah. And by doing dual investment, user will get Dyson token farmed. Yeah. So by doing so, it is more like a redistribution of potential value that created by selling an buying an underpriced option from our users. Because when users do dual investment, they are in fact selling option to the protocol. Yeah. And we use a lower price to buy. So likely in the long run, we will make money. Yeah. And regarding option selling, we usually use a classic model called Black-Scholes to determine the potential premium. And since we always do at the money option selling, so we have a simplified formula look like this. So we also need to rely on implied volatility, but the formula is quite simpler. Like you need to have the IV times 0.4 and then the square root of time. Yeah. So by comparing with Binance, we can see that Dyson, most of the time Dyson already won, and considering the governance token farmed from doing dual investment, it will be even more profitable. Yeah. So that's how we form our product, and it will become like a closed cycle that when users do dual investment, it will grow the liquidity pool, and that will help us to perform swaps with external traders. And since we have a dynamic fee AMM mechanism that could create profit that is somewhat proportional to the volatility of the token pairs. So that should be able to generate sufficient profit to cover the premium we paid to dual investment users. And the leftover will be used to stream revenue to token holders and finish the closed cycle. Yeah. And some product concepts that shared in the previous introduction, I can recall again. Like, so first, I think they can be like categorized in two different sectors. The first one is like projects or say tools that can improve user experience of Dyson Finance. Like every dual investment has an expiry, then user probably will need to manually redeem and then reinvest. And if you can help to create an auto reinvest stuff, probably connecting with say Gelato or Chainlink, then that could like improve the experience of users. And also there's some potential way to further increase the capital efficiency by maybe tokenizing and using the dual investment position as a collateral to borrow more assets, like what people do in Gearbox and Alpha. Yeah. And the second part could be quite different, which is we consider Dyson Finance as a source of revenue, and we can build whatever product that makes sense whenever there's like some, say, price. So like you probably can make some GameFi or SocialFi stuff that users need to deposit to play, and the winner either it is like elected randomly or by skills, will get a prize, and that source could be from either the premium or from the Dyson token farmed by all of the users that have ever performed dual investments. Yeah. And regardless the first or the second sector, you probably need to have a membership NFT, and on testnets you can get it directly from the faucet. And if you are looking for mainnet invite code, you can go to Dyson Finance Discord, because it is like very easy for our users to generate invite codes. Yeah, so it shouldn't be an issue to get a membership to make you or your smart contract eligible to farm Dyson token. Yeah. Okay. And one last thing is a quick go through of the code base. And if you don't want to dive too deep into the whole Dyson Finance smart contract code base, then I will recommend you to look at this contract called Dyson to Go. And it is pretty much like Yearn on top of Dyson, which help you to simplify the process of performing dual investment for like every Dyson Finance. So by go through this single smart contract, you have a whole understanding of how this like smart contract set work. Yeah. So Dyson to Go is quite simple. It basically do a pool invest. So we assume there's like a guild that the owner of the guild will provide the membership NFT and also to stake some token to get some yield boost, just like what Curve's tokenomic do. And for each user that want to perform a dual investment via Dyson to Go, they will have a position recorded, like that directly point to their position on the main Dyson smart contract. And also we will record the point that used to farm governance token, like how much contribution they have made by performing such a dual investment. Yeah. So like we can like directly go to the deposit function, and as you can see, there's some logic that deal with like selecting the pair to deposit and to perform the actual dual investment. But there's some extra logic that try to record how much, we call it SP, you can consider as point, just like what a lot of projects are doing, like ask you to farm point that can be then converted to their governance token. Yeah, so in Dyson, point is also an indicator of the amount of dual investment. Yeah. So whenever a user perform a swap, whenever a user perform a dual investment, we will record how many points they generate and consider as like a measurement of their contribution to the guild. And then whenever they want to withdraw, we will pay them Dyson token proportionally. Yeah. And this is quite simple, just like Yearn. Like you get whatever you farm, but I think there will be a huge space for people to create something that is more creative. For example, like you probably can make a dual investment style of pool together that you perform dual investment and you get whatever you get by withdrawing. But in terms of the Dyson farm by the whole guild, we will like randomly select a user that get everything. Yeah, to try to increase the variance. Yeah, so like that there's much more spaces for you to design, and maybe you can try to integrate with other protocols to like win prizes from different pool. Yeah, could make things even like more interesting. Yeah, so I think that's it for my sharing, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.